welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 14-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into the breakdown, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. On the road to 1,000 subscribers, the goal is to get there by the end of the MLB DFS season. If you can help me do that, that would be awesome. That's my promise to you, to be here all MLB season long, breaking down these MLB DFS slates to help you guys become better MLB DFS players, help you guys win some money night in and night out. And don't forget to check out my premium package linked below in the description. You get access to all the same tools that I use in building my own MLB DFS lineups. If you are getting very serious, would highly recommend it. I think it's going to be a great return on investment for you. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. Nailed those the last 2 times out as well, on a streak with that. So looking to keep it all going. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this one today. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts, and the top guy on the slate today is going to be Max Scherzer, taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Comes in with a 34.3% K rate overall, 16.1 swinging strike rate, 37.1% K rate against righties, and a 31.2% K rate against lefties. Very good across the board, specifically against right-handed hitting. Has a very dominant strikeout rate, and leads the slate by strikeout rate in a very large manner today. Next guy up would be Sonny Gray, who's, relatively low compared to him, about 5% difference. He comes at 11K on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 10.5. The only thing really that isn't in his favor is the matchup taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Not really a lineup that we like to target all that much. And for that reason, you could definitely look to pivot off of him, and that's a little unfortunate, but K rate and K upside, guy definitely leads the slate by quite a large margin here. But when we go down to the second guy, Sonny Gray taking on the Chicago Cubs, that's when things, as far as matchup, really start to kick in, because the Cubs do strike out at a much larger rate. 29.5% K overall, 29.6% K rate against righties, and a 29.4% K rate against lefties. Very solid across the board, and as mentioned, you can't ask for a much better matchup as far as strikeout upside is concerned. Only problem is it's in Cincinnati, Great American Small Park, not exactly the best pitching environment, but he does come in as a 161 favorite. The Chicago Cubs only do have a 4.23 implied run total. So Sonny Gray's priced at 7K on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's priced at 7.5. And the only issue is he's been on the injured list since June 9th. Had a rehab start, and he's probably going to be somewhat limited. If we find out he's not on a pitch count, he's good to go. I'm really going to like him. If he's on a pitch count, unfortunately, you can't get all too excited about it. And that's something we're just going to have to keep an eye on, because if he's not limited 7K on FanDuel and his price tag over here on DraftKings as well at only 7.5, it's a very friendly price tag for him. So it's really just a matter of if he's going to be limited. Zach Gallen taking on the San Francisco Giants, 28.2% K overall, a 31.4% K rate against righties, and a 24.9% K rate against lefties. Has been really solid across the board, and he gets to take on a San Francisco Giants team tonight that we're not all too scared of overall. They do have 4.67 implied run total against him, however, which is a little bit scary. Have been definitely getting a lot healthier. They have some bats back in there that they didn't have for quite some time now. Mike Yastrzemski, Alex Dickerson's back off the IL, DeMonte Wade. So it's getting a little bit scary to target him. It's in Arizona, not exactly the best ballpark, especially when we can drop down to this next guy in Lance Lynn, taking on the Detroit Tigers. Great matchup for him, a 27.7% K rate overall, 12.2 swinging strike rate, 32.9% K rate against righties, and a 22.7% K rate against lefties. Does take a major hit in his K rate against left-handed bats, so we do prefer to target him against very right-hand heavy lineups, if at all possible. But he's taking on a Detroit Tigers team, which, let's be honest, just strikes out so much, it probably doesn't really matter all that much. He's priced at 10K on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 9.7. Comes in as a 157 favorite. It's in Detroit, which is a pretty good pitcher's ballpark for the most part. Only problem is it's going to be 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out the straightaway center, but overall, Lance Lynn, going to be top of the slate as far as priorities because of the matchup and his strikeout upside. It doesn't get much better than taking on a Detroit team, so you got to like them. Luis Patino taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. They're just really not a team that I'm looking to target all that much, to be honest. He does have a pretty decent K rate across the board, especially against righties, but he gives up a lot of hard contact, and when he's taking on a Toronto Blue Jays team that has as much talent as they do up and down their lineup, that's probably going to give him issues. Not to mention, I don't even know how much of a leash he's going to have as far as pitch count's concerned, so not getting too excited about playing him. 82 pitches last time out, 4 earned runs. Starting to get his pitch count up there a little bit, but I think they could pull him relatively early. Alek Manoah taking on the Tampa Bay Rays in that same game does have a pretty good strikeout rate, over 29 innings pitch sample size. Only problem is he's returning off an injury as well, and I'm not sure if that's going to limit him. Actually, no, it wasn't an injury. It was just 5-game suspension. Sorry, I misspoke there. I forgot about that. So it was just a 5-game suspension. So he should be good to go. And yeah, he shouldn't have any limitations. Just a suspension, should be good to go. So just like a regular, rest of the rotation, 5 days, not a big deal. So he should be a decent option taking on this Tampa Bay Rays team that's been striking out quite a bit. And we also have Logan Gilbert taking on the Texas Rangers. 26.2% K overall, 30.4% K rate against righties, and a 22.5% K rate against lefties. Across the board, really, really good stuff. He's a young talent. He's got some raw talent. He's just a little bit rough as far as putting it all together, because that's just kind of what happens when you get called up to the bigs. But overall, kid has been very good. He's only 7-2 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 6-6. And I think this could be a matchup where he could really go out there and pitch a good game. So, 192 and 105 his last full starts, 4 earned run, 1 earned run, 1 earned run. And as far as strikeouts, he's seen 7, 6, and 7 strikeouts. So, I mean, that's pretty solid stuff. And he gets a good matchup for some strikeouts. So I got to like him. And then once we get past him, things start to dip down pretty quickly, to be honest. We do have the Cleveland Indians. Lance McCullers taking on the Cleveland Indians. 25.5% K overall. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's good. A 24.6% K rate against righties and a 26.5% K rate against lefties. So he could definitely be someone that you're looking to target today. He should be a pretty heavy favorite here. Looking at the lines, he is a 193 favorite. Cleveland's not a team that really scares us all that much. He's priced at 9.6 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 9.4. And as far as his recent performances, 7-4, 3 Ks, 2 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 1 earned run, getting right up there around 90 pitches. He's definitely a reasonable option. And then, yeah, things start to take a dip down. I mean, we do have definitely some good matchups. Frankie Montas taking on Boston's probably a no for me. Taijuan Walker taking on the New York Yankees, a team that does strike out a lot, so you got to have interest in him. He has a 2.49 ERA, the best on the slate. 24.5% K overall, 22.4% K rate against righties, and a 27% K rate against lefties. Does have a much higher K rate against lefties, but does a very good job of keeping the ball on the ground, limiting hard contact against righties, and there could be an inflated strikeout rate taking on this New York Yankees team today. So I wouldn't call you crazy if you want to go to Taijuan Walker. I do think that JT Brubaker is an interesting option, taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Looking at his stuff here, you can see he has a 23.2% K overall. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's pretty good. 24.3% K rate against righties and a 22.1% K rate against lefties. Not the most dominant stuff in the world, but he's taking on a Milwaukee Brewers team today that strikes out a bunch. So I think that JT Brubaker could be an interesting salary relief option on this slate today. And then that's kind of where things fade out a little bit. I mean, you got Alex Wood taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. They don't really scare us out that too much. Adrian Hauser in the same game taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates, I think, could be an intriguing option. Kyle Gibson taking on Seattle's team that strikes out a lot. So those 3 guys in that mid-range, and that's really what I'd be looking to today. There's so many options on a slate this big. I try to break down as much as I can, but of course, a lot of it's going to come down to roster construction, figuring out the bats that we want to play, and then, we might have to settle for a pitcher that doesn't have the highest K rate, but it's in a really good matchup because we really want to pay up for bats. So with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to those bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, Scale Interactive ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher's been so far in his career, how good he's expected to be in the future, and the bottom 2 guys on the slate today are both pitching in Coors Field, the best inning environment in baseball. So it's going to be a slate where there's going to be some interest in Coors Field for sure. Johan Oviedo's been pretty not that great across the board. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's not the greatest. It doesn't do the. He gives up a lot of walks as well. 11.3% walk rate. 425 slugging to righties and a 413 slugging to lefties. He actually has been a lot better against lefties as far as ground ball, fly ball, hard contact stuff. Because he is a reverse splits pitcher. Throws righty, better against lefties though. So it's a 12.5 total in this game. This game is going to be a shootout for sure, I have a feeling. And, you just have to determine whether it's worth you paying all these price tags for. But Colorado Rockies, not the best lineup in the world, but they're going to be in play against this guy. Raimel Tapia, Jonathan Daza, Charlie Blackmon, Trevor Story, CJ Cron, Brendan Rodgers, Ryan McMahon, Dom Nunez. You got to have interest in the full stack. It's just that good of a spot. It's in Colorado. Best hitting environment in baseball. Pulling up the chart here that I always like to show you guys as far as the Rockies is concerned. Green across the whole entire field. And then Chichi Gonzalez taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Very similar. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's not good. Gives up a 476 slugging to righties, a 485 slugging to lefties, but does a better job ground ball, fly ball rates. So they're very similar pitchers. Gonna have a lot of interest in the righties on both sides. Goldschmidt, Arenado, Tyler O'Neill, Yadier Molina right down the middle of this order. Paul DeJong, Harrison Bader. You got Tommy Edman and Dylan Carlson to round out your stacks. I'd prioritize the right-handed hitters on both sides, but of course you have to mix in the lefties to round out your stacks at times. You know, guys like Charlie Blackmon, Ryan McMahon in the middle of the order. Ramon Tapia. If you want to just fade them and play all the righties, you can do it though. So, gotta like that spot in Coors today. Jay Happ taking on the Kansas City Royals. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible. Strikeout rate's terrible. Really good against left-handed hitting. Really bad against right-handed hitting. A 504 slugging given up. Ground ball, fly ball stuff across the board is terrible. So every single righty that cracks this Kansas City Royals lineup tonight is going to be in play for me. They come in with a 5 implied run total. It's in Kansas City, 83 degrees as far as the hitting environment in Kansas City. And looking at that ballpark, pulling it up here in Kauffman Stadium, you can see pretty good in the outfield as far as doubles, triples are concerned. Lots of room in that outfield. It's a big one, but the home runs aren't exactly the easiest to come by, so really going to have to get into one. And luckily for us, you know, J Happ allows that amount of hard contact to righties where that could be the case. Whit Merrifield, Jorge Soler, Carlos Santana, Salvador Perez, Hunter Dozier, Edward Olivares, Michael Taylor, Hanser Alberto. They all hit left-handed pitching very well in this lineup, so I like the Royal stack for sure. Sam Henquez taking on the Houston Astros is a guy that is very bad against both sides of the plate. A 583 slugging given up to righties, a 441 slugging given up to lefties. Going to have a ton of interest in this Houston Astros team today for sure. Breaking down their lineup and their implied run total and such, they do have a 5.53 implied run total. 73 degrees with 14-mile-an-hour winds blowing straight in from center. That's a little bit less than ideal, but they had a big night last night, and they can definitely do it again. Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley, Yusky Uriel, Yordan Alvarez, Carlos Correa, Kyle Tucker, Abraham Toro. Really going to have interest in that 1 through 7 range. Miles Straw and Garrett Stubbs, you can put in your lineups to round out your, round out the order. Keep in mind, Sam Henquez is a left-handed hurler, so, the right-handed bats are probably going to be a little more intriguing. However, he's really struggled against both sides, so, no issues with you going to either side here. The righties are preferred, but like the whole entire Houston Astros stack. Casey Mize taking on the Chicago White Sox. Very easy guy to break down. Very good against right-handed hitting. Very bad against left-handed hitting. Guy that I continually target with left-handed hitters because he just continues to give up home runs to lefties. It's 10-mile-an-hour winds blown out. 75 degrees in Detroit. Got to like Brian Goodwin, Yasmani Grandal, Gavin Sheets, Luis Garcia. Every single lefty that cracks this lineup. The righties I don't have nearly as much interest in. You could definitely stack him up. And I wouldn't call you crazy, but he's been really good against righties. So I really just prefer to target the lefties against him. Drew Smyly taking on Miami. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible. Hard contact stuff terrible across the board. Really do like targeting Drew Smyly. He's had some better seasons as of late. Specifically this season, he has looked a lot better. But as far as I'm concerned, I still like to target him, especially when Miami's going into Atlanta. It's going to be a big ballpark upgrade for them coming from Miami to the Atlanta Braves Stadium. You can see a lot of yellow going out there as far as home runs. But when you're dealing with the ballpark like the Miami Marlins have to deal with, anytime you can get on the road, it's going to be a much better hitting environment. So I definitely like the Miami Marlins righties today. Even the lefties, he's not really good against lefties. It's actually worse against lefties from a slugging aspect. A 558 slugging given up to those lefties versus a 477 slugging given up to righties. Just in general, most lefties are better against right-handed pitching. But Jazz Chisholm at the top of the order, you can definitely play Starling Marte, Jesus Aguilar, Adam Duvall, Garrett Cooper, Miguel Rojas, Jorge Alfaro. Definitely going to like the Marlins stack today. And then not to mention, the Atlanta Braves bullpen is not that good. So Griffin Canning taking on the Baltimore Orioles, a guy that gives up a lot of hard contact. Against righties, he gives up a 43 slugging. Against lefties, it's a 401 slugging. Across the board, he's really less than impressive. And the Baltimore Orioles are a team that people oftentimes don't like to play. They only have a 4.11 implied run total. It's in the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim Stadium. As far as Angel Stadium is concerned, you can see not the best thing environment as far as the outfield is concerned. A lot of red going on. But it's a stadium that I always do say it's a lot better for home runs than people think, specifically with left-handed batters. I like to target some left-handed batters here when I'm looking to get some home runs. And as mentioned with Canning splits, really bad against righties, really bad against lefties. He is worse against righties, but overall, I'm going to have interest in this whole entire Baltimore Orioles lineup. Cedric Mullins, Trey Mancini, Anthony Santander, Ryan Mountcastle, DJ Stewart, Maikel Franco, Pedro Severino, Domingo Lebo, and Ramon Urias at the bottom of the order will probably be the guys that I have the least amount of interest in. But the 1 through 7, I think I have interest in all of them. Pretty good hitting weather there. Gonna like that spot. Alec Mills taking on the Cincinnati Reds is another guy that is very splits heavy, very good against righties, very, very bad against lefties. A 539 slugging, giving up 394 WOBA. Ground ball, fly ball stuff still isn't the worst against lefties, but it gives up a lot of hard contact. So if you want to play the Cincinnati Reds lefties today, no issues whatsoever. They have a 5.27 implied run total. Jesse Winker, Joey Votto, Tucker Barnhart, Shogo Akiyama at the bottom of the order, and Overall, they have a 5.27 implied run total. They're expected to definitely do some damage here against Alec Mills, so, you got to like seeing that Vegas is backing them up. Continuing further along, we do have Keegan Aiken in that same Los Angeles Angels game that we talked about targeting the Orioles. We could also target this guy. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's really not the greatest. He gives up a 465 slugging to righties, a 451 slugging to lefties. So, definitely can target him with some bats here. Shohei Ohtani, of course, going to be a great option. Anthony Rendon, Phil Gosselin in the middle order has been slugging against lefties. Jared Walsh, Jose Iglesias, Max Stassi has a bunch of pop against lefties for a catcher. Taylor Ward has some pop. Juan Lagares, power and speed at the bottom. Definitely like the Angels stack today, 5.39 implied run total. The Baltimore Orioles bullpen doesn't scare us either, so you could be definitely going to them. As we're scrolling along the slate here and looking at some other spots, we're not really seeing anything too crazy that stands out from a run perspective. We already talked about a lot of the top ones here. And the Yankees have a 4.81 implied run total. They're not really exactly going to be the most exciting spot for me. Taking on Taijuan Walker, he's not my favorite guy to target. Adrian Hauser, you can target with lefties, so the Pittsburgh Pirates lefties if you want to go there. It's not going to be exactly my favorite spot because the Pirates lineup up and down is just really not the greatest rounded out. But that's where you'd be going if you're targeting him today with those lefties. And then Alex Wood taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been a team that's actually been traditionally really good against lefties this year. They've been terrible as of late, terrible on the whole entire season, but when they have been good, it's been mostly against left-handed pitching. They are dealing with some injuries right now, but Andy Young at the bottom order has a bunch of power. Has Asdrubal Cabrera, Eduardo Escobar, Christian Walker, Nick Ahmed. That's who you'd probably look into if you're stacking them up. Not getting too excited about it. And lastly, if I'm talking about anyone else that I'm looking to target, we can definitely target. So two more guys I want to talk about. The first one would be, or three. So Frankie Montas and Alek Manoah, they both have the same issues. They have issues against left-handed power, so you can target the Boston Red Sox lefties and the Tampa Bay Rays lefties for sure. Red Sox are in Oakland A Coliseum, not the best hitting environment. Not getting too excited to target them, but that's where you'd be going if you're going there. And then you do have the lefties against Alek Manoah and Tampa Bay. Once again, not too excited to target them if I'm being honest. But lastly, I would say Jordan Montgomery's the guy you're looking to target. Taking on the New York Mets with right-handed power. Does give up quite a bit of power to righties. A 463 slugging, ground ball, fly ball stuff's really not the greatest. And the New York Mets righties could be in a good spot here in Yankee Stadium tonight. It is a good hitting environment, good for home runs. It's only 72 degrees with 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from center, which is a little unfortunate, but you can definitely go to guys like Kevin Pillar, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, James McCann, Jose Peraza, all pretty good against lefties. And then you got Albert Almora as well. So like that is my overall breakdown of this 14-game slate. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Yasmani Grandal taking on Casey Mize. I'd mentioned his hard contact issues against left-handed hitting, really struggling. 521 slug, giving up 44.6% hard contact rate, a 369 WOBA. And when specifically breaking down what he goes to, very reliant on the fastball-sinker combination, and Yasmani Grandal crushes both of those. On average, the fastball, looking at about 93-mile-an-hour fastball, Yasmani Grandal features a 338 ISO with a 396 WOBA against that pitch. And then as far as the sinker is concerned, Grandal crushes that as well. A 270 ISO with a 436 WOBA. Love this spot for Yasmani Grandal. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Yasmani Grandal. Get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you enjoy the content, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.